All right. So I just shared with you guys probably on the last one about my name and my experience at the retreat in Australia, a little bit about that. And and that sort of jarred this memory of this story that I thought would be really fun to share with you guys. So here it is. This is the story of the spiders and the flies. The spiders and the flies. So in Australia, they have some super nasty bugs, and I have some issues with bugs. I've got some issues with bugs. There it is. Like that, of all of the Indiana Jones films, the scariest one was when they were crawling through the tomb, and all of those bugs were just like crawling into the woman's clothes and coming out of her collar. And the bug scene, that was it for me. I know they have snakes and rats and other things in those movies as well, but it was the bug scene in those movies that killed me. So in Australia, they have these bugs. They've got march flies, and the march flies are about that big. They're enormous. And they had jumping ants, and the jumping ants were like that big. And when a jumping ant bit you, it felt like pure fire injection, pure fire injection. And luckily, it was quick. It was blessedly quick. It was like a shot of fire would go through you and then it would be gone. And then the bite didn't really itch, weirdly enough. But yeah, so blessedly short, but because it was intense, intense fire right through you. So march flies and jumping ants. And they also had this cool bird. I think they call it a whooping bird or something like that. A whipping bird. But it has a sound like a whip, like the call of it is like this whip, and it's so interesting. Anyways, so the story of the spiders and the flies. So here's the story of the spiders of the flies. So we're on this 7 to 10 day retreat, and this is an ancestral retreat. We're going deep into Gaia. We're connecting with Gaia. We're connecting with our counterparts within the Middle Earth, the inner Earth. And connecting to the wisdom of the counterparts that we have within the dimensions of the earth. That's what this retreat is about, partially. So we're there. So we're on the sacred land. Absolutely gorgeous, beautiful, amazing sacred land where Koala, my teacher Koala, has, in cooperation with others, has built a sort of a gateway of sorts on this land. I think they call it a gateway. And so the gateway it's got about 2 tons of selenite crystal buried underneath the earth. And then on top of the earth, they have these selenite crystals in these circles, and you could fit about like 8 to 10 people sitting, right? If we were all sitting cross-legged, 8 for sure, possibly even 10. So they were relatively big, these circles. And so then there was probably like 10 or 12 of these circles in this greater circle in this field. And then in the center was this other circle of crystals, and the center circle was just solid crystal. They had selenite crystals around as a boundary, and then inside of this circle was all selenite crystals, rose quartz, amethyst, and some really huge rose quartz, really huge quartz crystals. They had some amethyst gateways to go into the inner circle. They had an amethyst gateway to go into the larger circle. And like I said, the larger circle was composed of these smaller circles that you could fit 8 to 10 people in. And there was like 10 or 12 of those around the perimeter of this space. Somewhere on Facebook, I have a little video recording of that property and that gateway. It was just spectacular, really. So anyways, each of these smaller circles of the gateway had, they were representing a pillar of frequency. And so there was 10 or 12 of these pillars that were anchoring frequency into the land, into Gaia. And so each of the pillars had a specific frequency that was anchoring. No, innocence was definitely one. Love, grace, truth, I think. That might not have been one. Anyways, each one of them, we're talking about spiders and flies here. So let me rewind. All right. So I'm on this retreat. It's like being at a music festival for 7 to 8 days. Not comfortable, right? Not comfortable. You're like walking on dirt, and you're walking barefoot on dirt for like 7 or 8 days. You're sitting on dirt and for 7 or 8 days. You're communing with Gaia for 7 or 8 days. You're like in the elements of the nature for 7 or 8 days, using the porta potties, that sort of thing. It was not comfortable. It was not physically comfortable at all. And on top of that, as I shared in the last video, we were all separated into groups and pretending to be fairies and elves and snakes and dragons. So that was like a whole other level of stress. We're going to just say stress. But it was fun for sure. Absolutely fun and amazing and well worth it. And now that several years have passed, I would definitely choose to do it again. But I remember leaving there thinking I never want to do this again. But now I would do it again because it was amazing. And the pain has been forgotten. So let's talk about the flies. March flies, this big. And they're everywhere, man. They're everywhere. We're trying to meditate, and these flies are like on people. They're on their legs. They're on their arms. People are walking around with these giant flies on their back, and the flies are biting. They're biting flies. They bite. So my insides are just like, I'm sitting here trying to meditate and hang out with these people, and I'm like looking at these flies, and we had this, like, we were told that it was sacred land, and that the intention for us to be there was to harm nothing on this sacred land. And that means not harming the bugs, not killing the bugs, which I completely understand. Fine, good. Don't harm the bugs. You're on sacred land. However, the bugs were harming me. They were biting. And they were very, very annoying, these flies. So, what's happening is the facilitators of this retreat, who I love, adore, and honor, were sharing communications with us about the sacredness of these bugs. And how the bugs, the flies, just wanted to drink our frequency. Okay. Now I know I'm putting this up here on in the public realm because it sounds crazy, and I know it sounds crazy, but to me it sounded crazy anyways, right? So like, no. So if the bugs my question here, right? And my question to the facilitators are like, look, I can respect that. I can respect that the bugs have sovereignty. I can respect that the bugs are divine energy. I can respect that the bugs have their own lives, and we're not to hurt them or kill them or harm them in any way. But if that is the case, should we not also be able to tell the bugs not to bite us? Why do we have to share our frequency with these bugs against our will? Against our will. It is against my will. It is. I do not give consent for you to drink my blood. No, you don't have it. You don't have it. This is for real, man. This is a struggle. This is a spiritual initiation that I failed, quite frankly. But so I struggled the whole time. I had a meltdown like in the middle of the thing because I was drinking tea and the fly bit me and then the tea went flying and it was like the only comfort I had for the day. It was like my baba. I lost it because of a fly. But anyways, so and you don't know me, you may not know me, but I'm not like I'm not a delicate flower. I'm not a delicate flower. I can handle some ruggedness, okay? But this was much. This was much for me. And it was the flies that took it over the top. So anyway, the flies. Throughout the journey, I struggled with the flies. And throughout the journey, the facilitators were trying to assist me in becoming zen with the flies. Okay? They did their best. They did. To the point, so the final thing was that we're sitting in meditation. We're sitting in meditation and my eyes are closed and I'm in one of those pillars in that beautiful sacred gateway of selenite. I'm in the pillar and this fly bites me right here on the inner thigh, to which I slap the fly. Ow, said ow. The fly fell off of me. It stung me, fell off me. And then I went back into meditation and then I feel this thing on my foot. Back up. So I hit the fly. I killed the fly. I killed the fly in the gateway. I killed the fly in the crystal gateway. And I killed the fly in the crystal gateway on the sacred land. So starts this journey from our facilitator, right? Okay, so she is observing that this has just happened and that I'm upset about the fly. And so she's trying to help. So she summons the queen of the March flies. I am not making this up. I am not making this up. She summons the queen of the March flies, and we all start to have this conversation. Everybody's getting telepathic messages from the queen of the March flies. And I'm in my like most stubborn resistance, like, fuck no, I am not having a conversation with the queen of the March flies. However, like I said before, I'm here to play 110%, right? So 110%. All right. Okay. I'm going to have a conversation with the queen of the March flies. And this is my conversation. It goes like this. Look, I'm not ready. I am not ready to allow your people to suck on my frequency. I am not ready to build a bridge here yet with the insect realm. I am not ready. This is for real, man. I'm not ready to build a bridge yet with the insect realm and specifically your flies. I'm not ready. So if you could please ask your flies to stop landing on me, stop biting me, so that we can create a relationship instead of me feeling as though I'm being made food, right? Instead of me feeling like I'm food for your people, tell them to lay off, get away from me, stop landing on me, stop biting me, and then we can begin a conversation that may open a relationship between myself and the insect world. Okay, so this is telepathic. I'm having a conversation with the queen of the March flies. Okay. So as I'm having this conversation with the queen of the March flies, yeah, we're done. Okay, good. I feel this thing on my foot and I look down and it's this giant spider And in the spider's mouth is the March fly that I just killed. And it like the literally like the spider crawled up on my foot with the March fly body underneath it and like turned and looked at me eye to eyeball like, hey, thanks for dinner. To which I did like a like that and like kicked the spider off. But the spider literally came into my consciousness and said, look, man. The spider says, look, man, if you want the flies to stay away from you, you need to make friends with the spiders. End of story. So I'm like, okay, all right, I'm going to make friends with the spiders. So that's my deal. I was going to make friends with the spiders. I still have that deal. I'm still working on it. I'm still working on making friends with the spiders. So you would think that the story's over, but it's not over. The story continues. So, because I'm still there, I'm still on the retreat. The March flies are still there. The March fly then lands on my arm shortly after we come out of this ceremony of talking to the queen of the March flies. This March fly lands on my arm. I do sort of like one of these, like, hey, I just talked to your queen. I just talked to your queen. And she agreed that you people would stay off of me, leave me alone, and not bite me. That was an agreement I made with your queen. This fly, like I like did this to it, and it lands on this leaf next to me and is standing there like basically looking at me for the whole conversation. And as I'm saying, like, hey, I talked to your queen. She said you guys are going to leave me alone. You're not supposed to do this anymore. This fly, like, I am not kidding you, man. This fly did some like body language of shame. If a fly can personify shame, it did. And then it climbed underneath. It like went and hid underneath some leaves so I couldn't see it anymore. So that's my story. That's my abbreviated story of the spiders and the flies in Australia and my failed spiritual initiation thus far with the insect realm. I don't even know if I should share this story online because it's so crazy, but if you're seeing it, obviously I decided to launch it. So I hope that you enjoy it. Take it easy, everybody.